Decided to put up a little bit of a live stream here on New Year's Eve, and of course, Happy New Year's to all of you out there that happen to check out the stream while I'm going live, or if you are watching it on the replay, a Happy New Year's to you when you do actually check out the video. So, we're about just under 3 hours away from heading into 2020. And I thought I'd do a video of some of the top beer stories that caught my attention here going through 2019. Some of the things that were getting picked up out there. Some of the things that people were kind of following. Some really good stuff that took place. Some stuff that wasn't really good that also took place. So I'm going to get into kind of talking about that. And if there's any beer stories that may have caught your attention, feel free to add those in the comments section, or in case I missed anything, or if you want to chime in on the stories I actually do mention, then feel free to put some comments in there as well. If you're here, of course, for the live chat. Not sure how many people will be here for the live chat with it being New Year's Eve, but again, you can always watch this on replay. So I'm going to go ahead and crack open a beer before I get started here. But what I'm going to actually start off with is going to be another one of the New Belgium Hop Avenger IPAs that you see right here. So this is their latest one. It came out earlier this year, and it was a decent beer, I would say, along the line of the Voodoo series and the beers they're actually doing. Cheers, Coach, my friend. Happy New Year to you. We're still got a few more hours to go, but yeah, you are the first one in the house. Hey, Erie, cheers to you. Happy New Year as well. And like I was saying earlier, I know many people may show up. It's New Year's Eve. Some people are probably out getting their boogie on, their groove on, or whatever. And I'm still going to go ahead and do this. And I plan to do a few different streams on some of the wrap-up stuff from 2019 and going into 2020. So this is kind of the first one in the series there. So you think back on 2019, there were a lot of different things that happened out there in the beer industry to kind of catch your attention on stuff. And obviously couldn't get all of that into here, but just kind of the main ones that kind of jumped out to me. Initially, we had the big thing, right, with the Budweiser versus Miller, and they had launched essentially their whole corn starch war. So came out pretty humorous when they came out with the night walking around, and they're trying to deliver corn syrup to the people and all the different things they did along those lines, and ended up getting a lot of people definitely interested and involved in the beers between the two. The funny thing is, when you actually looked at all that was done, and you looked at the beers that AB InBev actually does provide, they actually use corn in a lot of their stuff, just not really in Bud Light. So a lot of their other beers, they do use corn there, but some of that got lost behind it. But I thought it was a pretty humorous campaign. It ignited some things between them. Actually, there's some other stuff out there. If you research it, it kind of broke a little bit of some type of pact they were trying to do between Bud and Miller, and just a whole interesting thing that took place. Obviously, that really kicked off after the Super Bowl and kept kind of that rivalry going, so to speak. So that was something interesting there. That was kind of the macro side of things. Big thing that happened, we also had the merger of Dogfish Head with Boston Beer. That actually caught a lot of people by surprise when that happened, because they are already so successful as Dogfish Head that now they were going in to work with Boston Beer. But I think it was $300 million that was involved there, and that was going to also open up more distribution for Dogfish Head. So in a lot of ways, it made sense, and they weren't actually taken over by anyone. That might have been one of the larger macro, although people tend to go, is Boston Beer not macro really, because they're up there, but when they're putting out less than 6 million barrels still, so they're not putting up with some of the big boys are putting out. Hey, what's happening, GSHL TV? Was V-Bar one of them? Maybe. We have to see. So, thanks for swinging in, brother, and Happy New Year to you. We're still a few hours out. As I was hitting on some of these stories that took place this year out in the beer world. But that was a big one with Dogfish Head and Boston Beer. Not really seeing anything that has really been gained as of yet, but maybe you're in the area where you weren't getting Dogfish Head and maybe you're getting it now. I'm not sure if they're going to have any collaborations coming up in this upcoming year or what they're going to actually do, but they definitely came out very nice on that deal. For Dogfish Head and Boston Beer, obviously adding them into their portfolio definitely helped their stock as well. So they benefited nicely. One of the big things that also happened. Hey, what's happening, Beer Hounds? Happy New Year, my friend. Welcome in. It's about 3 hours, under 3 hours out, which you're like under 6 hours out because you're 3 hours behind me. And thank you, brother. You too. You're the legend, my friend. You're the legend. One of the other things that happened last year that really caught a lot of people off guard, you had the, speaking of AB InBev, you had Platform that actually went under the AB InBev collective. People call it the collective now. It sounds like the Borg from Star Trek. But you had Platform Beer basically go under AB InBev. Again, that may help distribution. Not really much being said if any beer has been affected out there along those lines. They still make some pretty good product. So maybe to open them up to other opportunities and other areas they weren't getting into before. But they were already growing. So last year, they were one of the top 50 fastest growing, smaller craft breweries. Did they need to go under AB InBev? Maybe not. But when someone's throwing a lot of zeros your way, you're definitely going to think about it. Let me see here. Beerhouse Bell's Two Hearted Ale. That's what you're drinking right now, my friend. And Aries said this New Year's is going too slow and fireworks are driving me nuts. Well, I don't have any fireworks taking place around here, but it's like it's just like 9:20. I mean, I've been watching a football game, so I need Utah to actually win the game right now. If Utah pulls that out, then I've hit all my bowls for today's games, which makes me nice and happy. But yeah, so Platform, one of those companies that fell under a macro type situation. It'll be interesting to see how that works going forward. They did get good expansion, but they had expansion going before they went under AB InBev here in Cincinnati. We actually had one of their brew house or whatever locations they put here. They've had it in Cleveland. They had one in Pittsburgh, so they were already on their way, but that definitely gave them a boost, I'm sure. It only took 4 days for me to fall off the wagon. No, but you got to look at the positive that you were on the wagon for 4 days. Not to fall off, but you took a break from 4 days. So you got to look at the positive side of it. So let's see. So that was Platform Beer there. And then you had some things that took place this year as well, which were pretty interesting. And I would basically just going to put it under being offensive became offensive. So you had a lot of things that took place this year. We'll touch on a couple other key things, but from marketing of beer on certain labels, they actually started, there was a pushback from people in the craft brewing area, people that were buying the beers. You had sexual harassment claims against brewery owners. You had offensive stuff happening in breweries. And it became really a big thing this year, it seemed, that more people were like, okay, it's time to, for lack of a better word, cut the fraternity type attitude, in a way. So it was kind of an interesting year, but everybody kind of banded together. Everybody came out better for it, it seems, but there was definitely some rising of the bar of what's kind of expected for people out there. A few of the things, I would say there was probably some stuff that maybe went a little too far. For instance, we don't get it here, but it's the beer they have over in the UK. that they actually changed their packaging, but they were making fun of the Klan, and people just didn't like the idea of how they made it look on the beer itself, even though if you read the paper inside the wrapper, it would say why they were making fun of the Klan. It was the Yellow Belly beer, and so they pretty much had to go and change their stuff, but it is what it is. But there were some that were more offensive, that where women were portrayed on things like that, on labels and in marketing, and there was some stuff. It's like, okay, that probably is a little too far. So we'll see how it all goes, but people were definitely getting shaped up. One brewery ended up being closing down after a few days because they got so much heat. So definitely a different attitude out there now. Erie said, damn, Beer Hound, be thankful for those 4 days though, right? Positive. Paul said, what Ohio brewery do you think is next to fall to the dark side? Madtree? I don't think Madtree will. I know the marketing person out there, and they kind of want to stay independent, so I don't think they would be. At one time, Rheingeist, people were thinking would end up happening to them. They actually released a statement in Cincinnati saying they were not going that route because they were feeling so much pressure. Here in Cincinnati, I mean, you're looking at your big three really being Rheingeist, you got Madtree, you got Braxton, and I don't think any of those are poised to do anything yet to fall under any of those bigger macro type companies, but you never know. Like I said, someone comes in, they put a check down with enough zeros, it gets your attention, you have to look at it, right? You have to consider, do I want to go that route? I'm very offensive, and I love it. Whips in the beer world is what it boils down to. Yeah, well, I mean, there were definitely some things that kind of, I would say, pushed the boundary. And there were some that people just weren't going to buy. I mean, in any type of marketplace, and the whole base of capitalistic society is that the market will settle all that stuff out. So when people were doing these marketing type things, that's what happened. People took it out, and some of the businesses closed. Some of the businesses made changes. It was what it was. If you aren't pissing off people, you're not doing it. You're not doing anything worth paying attention to. That's one way to look at it. And cheers to you, Paul, as well. Happy New Year, my friend. And hopefully you're set up to have a nice evening here with the girls and stuff as we bring in 2020. I wore my onesie to a brewery once, and the chicks were all over me. Yeah, well, yeah. So you told me about that before. So I'm sure you were offended, right? Running around like Ralphie from Christmas Story. But speaking of the offensive type stuff that happened, obviously, let me scroll over. One of the big stories that actually came out was kind of some exposing of the things that were happening at Founders, and there's been a lot said about the Founders, whether here on the channel, a lot of the write-ups, a lot of the stuff out there on Twitter. And for me, I'm not going to go as far as deep into the Founders, just because I felt like I've said a lot over time already about Founders, and that's why you don't really see Founders on my channel anymore. Plus, for me, knowing one of the parties that was involved, the main party involved with the whole Founders thing, it's kind of like I don't want to put a lot of that stuff out there. But anyway, from a lot of the things that we saw, from how things were handled, they kind of screwed up basically a lot of stuff on their end. They started feeling the repercussions of it. There were a lot of people that, were in love with Founders. There were people that stopped drinking Founders. There were bars pulling Founders stuff. And it was a whole thing that could have been handled a lot easier than it was. This thing could have been put to rest back in 2018 when it started. In 2019, they started feeling the heat from it, and they're still feeling the heat from it in some areas. A lot of the research and a lot of the notes are out there about Founders, but you got into basically a racist type issue on some of the things that were done. Both parties were doing things differently, and that actually affects some of the opinions. But when you look at some of the stuff that was laid out, going back to the GM doing the deposition, some of the ways answering the questions, some of the stuff that was being done, employees that were kept on, for me, there's no way that I would ever drink Founders again, at least not at this point, unless there's some type of changes that take place. The biggest thing I relate this to is growing up as a kid, there was a big issue with like Denny's, and people stopped eating Denny's, and they had to go through a whole resurge and remodeling and stuff. And now 20, 30 years later, you eat Denny's, you don't even know about that stuff as much because it was already all handled in the past. But it's just one of those things that happen, and a lot of people have different thoughts on what they're going to do with founders now. I get some people to ask, should they drink it, should they not? It's like you have to make that decision yourself. We all have our own different baseline, our own different principles, and we go with that there. Let me check some of the comments here. Bjorn said, hey, Alan, cheers, my friend, welcome. And then Beryl says, a stiffy looks funny in a onesie. LOL. Yeah, you probably want to protect against that, I guess. And Erie says, hey, Alan, what's up? Erie, did you not tell Alan you were on? Cutie, evening, my friend. And Erie said, what's up to Cutie? And he says Erie as well. So, yeah, so we had the whole founders thing jumped out this year. Another incident that actually happened was we had the emergence of the hashtag I am craft beer. And this is something that some will know, some won't know, maybe, depending on how far you're into the whole craft beer type scene. It was a thing that emerged after, actually, you've seen it on my show here, Afro Beer Chick had received pretty much a racist email from someone on Twitter, or Twitter or Facebook or something comment. And rather than get caught up in it, she kind of turned it into a different way to put it back on that person, right? She took the high road, and then it got picked up by the craft beer community, where it was actually created a hashtag of I am beer. And all through Twitter and Facebook, you had different people putting things out of why they enjoy craft beer and who they were, what their backgrounds were. And it ended up bringing a great inclusion and diversity to the community, but also allow people to express different feelings about stuff. So by the one person's actions that attacked her, a great sense of being was made throughout the community with the other people. So it's taking that, lemons and making them lemonade type situation, whatever you want to call it. But it overcame the ignorance that was shown by the person that actually sent that initially. So that was one of the great things that emerged this last year with the craft beer scene. Alan said she did after I got done editing a video for tomorrow. So that's good. She's telling you now, so that's a good thing. And then you said you did after a bit. Alan said, cheers to Cutie. Cheers to Beer Hound. Two Hearted Ale is very tasty. Two Hearted Ale is very tasty. And again, in 2019, it was ranked as the #1 IPA as well. Always a decent brew. Another one of those fine ones you can get from Bell's. Beer Hound says, happy pre-New Year, my brother. Yes, definitely to you as well. To Alan as well. To everybody, happy pre-New Year. Beer Man's in the house. Cheers, Beer Man. What is going on, buddy? Happy New Year to you as well. Hey, Rod, cheers. Beer Man Raid, you won. I won? I love to win. Right now, I wish Utah would win. I'm 4-0 today on the bowl games. I'm going to be 4-1 if Utah loses this one now. I should have never trusted the Utes. Much love and Happy New Year's to you as well. And then I was back saying the beer house. Eclectic Beard. Hey, man, cheers. Beerman said, Rod won. I like being a winner. #1 is overrated for Too Hard. It's good, but not that good. Again, you follow your palate, right? But if you're looking at an IPA, you know what Too Hard it has going for it? It has enough people that can get it, that people can actually chime in about it. Because when you look at something before, like Pliny the Elder being #1, you only had a small percentage of people that actually had Pliny. So it's more maybe the access that helps it out. But again, it's how you rate it overall, and it just came out to be #1. And that was actually rated by, I forgot the name of the group, but it was one of the homebrewing societies that rated #1 too, I believe. And you did. My name got picked. Oh, awesome! What did I win? Oh, you're drawing. Okay, cool. I am happy. Oh, hey, miscellaneous. Cheers. Welcome. Yeah, Beer Man's a good guy. Thanks for coming over with the raid here. BeerVentures, cheers. Happy New Year. Congrats on winning. Well, thank you, Bamboo. And Happy New Year to you as well. Miscellaneous, congrats on your win, brother. Thank you, thank you. And cheers, everyone. Cheers, Bamboo from Alan the Eclectic Beard. And Bamboo says Eclectic Beard. Cheers. Everybody cheering everybody back. That's always good. Hey, and if you haven't checked out some of the people you're seeing here, make sure you hit the three dots next to their name. You can check out their channel and hopefully find something else you'd like to see. Be a new subscriber there. And they'll be a new subscriber to you probably. And, we'll grow and we'll network that way. Well, I appreciate you, Miscellaneous, and I would definitely check you out as well. It is a surprise. Okay. Yeah, Two Hearted Ale has that candy aspect. It is so great. I can always enjoy a nice Two Hearted Ale. But when you look at it versus other IPAs, like Alan was saying, I don't know if it stands out that I would say I would hunt it down. I'll get it when it's around, and I really enjoy it when I do have it, but it's almost like when you're doing things like that, it depends how many beers you've had in your universe. The more beers you've tried, then the less some may stand out as well. So, but it's definitely a top of the list one for me out there in the IPA. Let me see here. So what was the other beer stories that took place? Well, we had, and it's not beer, and I wasn't going to talk about it before, but then I'm like, how do I not talk about it? Because it has affected beer. So we had the rise of the seltzers that established themselves as a valid non-beer option. They've cut into some sales that were going towards the beer area. So you have to say it does have an impact, and it is a beer story in that regard. Still not fully on board with all the seltzers. I've tried a few that I have thought were okay. But a lot of people like them. I know Alan here, the Eclectic Beard, he's enjoyed a few. Other people have enjoyed a few as well. Over time, I may try some more, but it's just, I'm just not there yet. Said Element Alan, he's talking about you. Well, Alan does. He does enjoy the seltzer as well. There's nothing wrong with the seltzer. It's definitely shown that's going to be here for a bit. Now you got other brands that are launching in 2020 to put more out there. And so the dollar can only go so far. Some people are buying beer, some are buying liquor, some are buying wine, some are buying seltzers. And some of the beer crowd are the ones that are going over to the seltzer area as well. Everyone attacks that like button for Rod. Oh, thank you, Beer Man. Appreciate it, buddy. Next year we'll have the rise of the wine coolers with craft flavors. Oh wow, bring it back. You know what? I put a thing on Facebook. I think you might have saw it earlier, Alan. It's like next year it's 2020, right? Don't go out there. You may think it, but don't go out there and do it. Don't start drinking those Mad Dog 2020s. It'd be the year of the Mad Dog, maybe. It's seltzer booze. It's got alcohol in it. You drink enough of them to get you where you want to go. So I guess you'll say it's still booze, but you have less calories, less filling, right? Hey, Ron, cheers, my friend. Happy New Year. Checking in, drinking, and smoking the meat. Happy New Year to you as well. Hopefully you got something nice on the grill there. Actually made some ribeyes earlier for dinner here with some corn on the cob and some baked potato. And then had some pumpernickel bread with it. And I was stuffed. Oh, we had shrimp cocktail before that even. But yeah, I was actually stuffed by the time I was done. I was sitting there trying to watch the games. I almost fell asleep there on the couch. I said wine coolers, Rod, not gut rot from hell. Right? Yeah. Who knows? I don't even know. Did he still even make wine coolers? I don't even remember seeing a lot of like wine cooler type stuff out there. But I never looked for it either. So bring back the Zima. No. Don't bring back the Zima, Erie. No more Zima. Zima might be the seltzers. That's where maybe the Zima went to. They just carbonated them a little bit more. Night Train Express. Now that'll get you sick as well. Um, Other stuff that we have happen from last year, we had New Belgium, which was a big surprise for a lot of people. They actually sold to Kieran last year, and people in the craft beer community were kind of surprised by it. New Belgium, not only were they the largest craft brewery in Colorado, they were, I think, number 3 overall. So it was a pretty huge void that got left there with them actually going to Kieran. For them, it opened up more exposure in other markets and other areas. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out going forward here. There were some people there that got some sweet deals as employees. There were some that didn't get as much of a sweet deal. So there were some employees that were against it. But this is the world we're in. And the more we're a global economy, sometimes these international mergers work out better for you because you're now maybe going to be in overseas and other spots you weren't before. Lots of IPAs out there. The one that stood out for me most, Hoof-Hearted Stack and Paper, 10.5 triple IPA. Wow. And I haven't had that one, but I think I'm going up to Columbus either January or February. I got to find out. We got to go up to Columbus for a day. So when I go up there, that's when I make a beer run a couple spots around town. And they got Hoof-Hearted. Obviously, it's easier to get it up there than it is down here. So I'll definitely keep an eye out for that one, Raymond. And Happy New Year to you, my friend. Stop the Zima hate. Oh, it's not hate. That's been Zima tested. I've been down the Zima road. I've had the Zima. No hate. Just being #facts. You can have your Zima and your bag of Jolly Ranchers, son. As long as the conglomerates leave the core product alone but allow the better distribution, it shouldn't be frowned upon in the community the way some do. Well, the reason that some frown upon it in the community is because there's a sense of feeling when you have like a local independent brewery that you're putting your dollars into it and they're staying in the community versus being shipped up the ladder to whoever on Wall Street type situation, right? That you're shipping them out of the community. Now, if they're in the community, there's definitely people still working there in the community. So, you know, you buying the stuff helps other people have jobs and stuff there. But when you're actually an independent, you have people working there. You're probably buying like stuff like hops local. If you're doing like sour stuff like that, you're probably buying fruits local. You're doing a lot more stuff. That's why a lot of people like to see beers stay as a community oriented versus being these conglomerates. Because often conglomerates also take shortcuts on stuff because it becomes about the bottom dollar. And if they become like a stock company, it's about what their shareholder needs to make or what they want to return to them more than what the product they're actually putting out sometimes. So I can see why some people get upset over it and everything like that. But at the same point, I don't stop drinking them because they went under it. Like you said, like I drink a lot of Lagunitas and I drink some of the other stuff. I just don't drink it as much because I do like going to the other things more. Hands down, my favorite beer 2019, Lagunitas Investigation Shutdown. Yeah, that is a very good beer from Lagunitas, and the first time I had it a few years ago, I was really impressed, and I took an instant liking to it as well. I look forward to when it comes out here, like usually around February, when they release it each year. Just a nice beer put together. Problem is those same community breweries are offered a large sum. They do the same thing as sell. Well, that's the thing, right? You put the zeros out there, and wait a minute. You're saying, are you saying that they actually are supporting like the same people? If they took the money, they'd probably do the same thing. Or are you saying that the large companies do the same thing as like the community, the smaller ones do? A lot of folks in the community that are like, oh, I'll never drink that again. And it's like, well, that's dumb. Yeah. There are some, yeah. But because there are some large breweries that do community stuff as well, and they do it on a different scale. But for instance, there's not as much of an impact sometimes as local, right? For instance, we just had there's a local beer driver for one of the local breweries here in Ohio who was diagnosed with cancer recently. And all the local Ohio breweries have started to put together stuff for like a GoFundMe and all kind of stuff for them, where they all started to raise money for that. You don't usually see something like that possibly out of, a Bud or a Coors or Miller. But at the same time, you may see them make donations to different things as well, right? So yeah, they have stuff they actually contribute, but at the same point, I think a lot of people like that local feel when you know who the people are contributing right there in your area as well. So that was that's one of the things that comes together. It's like last year, and I didn't put it on for the story for 2019 because it was really 2018, but it kicked over. But when Sierra Nevada launched their beer following the fires out in California, all the local breweries actually ended up getting involved to help them raise money by selling the same beer Sierra Nevada had, even though it wasn't their beer. They brought it into a lot of their tap rooms to help them raise money. Yeah. Well, some would sell out. Some would. Some wouldn't. I know breweries. I know some people said they wouldn't sell out that run breweries, and there's been offers made to breweries that have been turned down. It's all a matter of what they're trying to do. I mean, there are some people that just want to be that community brewer, and they're happy doing it. So it's not always about the dollars, but there are some that definitely are. Let's see. And then, of course, we have Ballast Point gets sold again. So Constellation Brands ended up dropping Ballast Point. No one knows how much they actually got back. Now, they bought Ballast Point a few years ago for $1 billion, which at the time seemed like they overpaid. As we see more deals taking place now, definitely looks like they overpaid. But they were sold to Kings and Convicts out of, or it's just King and Convicts out of Chicago, which nobody really knows that much about. And the people I do know in Chicago that have been there say it's like a little bit of a dive type thing, but it's more from the stuff that I've read and seen a bunch of business partners that kind of put together something of a brewing type relationship. They're not really huge brewing. I think they're only projected to make like 660 barrels basically this year, which is a lot less than Ballast Point, who makes 200,000 barrels. But yet they kind of bought that, and they're going to put their beers in their place and have Ballast Point in their place. But it's kind of like nobody really knows who this King and Convicts really is. Let me see. If it's good, I'm drinking it. I don't know about the business part. Yeah, I mean, if it's a good beer, that's what some people do. Some people will drink it. Some people won't. Some people won't drink it if they know it's part of it. There are some people that, they don't get Bourbon County Stout because it's part of AB and Bev. And there's a lot of craft breweries out there that have comparable beers as well. There's some people that won't drink Lagunitas, or they won't drink Platform, or they weren't drinking Ballast Point when they went to their console. Everybody has a choice they make for themselves and stuff. Some people just feel that strongly about it. It's like for me, for instance, I don't go to Walmart unless it's like some urgent situation. I don't believe in the Walmart philosophy. I don't believe in what they do and how they screw people over, so I don't go to Walmart. Now, if I lived in an area and I only had a Walmart, I'd have to go to Walmart, right? Or if it's something I actually need as an emergency, I would go, but most of the time I won't go. But if people don't want to drink it, that's fine. If they do drink it, that's fine. The only thing that I always hate about the craft beer community is when people are like beer snobs about it. If they try to look down on people that may do it and they enjoy it, if they enjoy it, they'll let them drink it. It's kind of like if you have friends and you go to a craft beer bar or a bar and they have a ton of craft beers, but your friend orders a Bud. I've seen people like, I can't believe you're going to order a Bud with all these other beer. I mean, that's that person's choice. If they like it, let them enjoy it. You might ask them to try some other stuff to see if maybe they may prefer that to it. But if they want to go with whatever they go with, let them go with it. I don't get it though, because Ballast Point makes some good, damn good beer. It's a mindset, I guess, is the only way I can probably say it. It's kind of like some of the craft beer community, kind of like I won't say it's like a hippie type thing, but it's kind of almost like that type mentality where it's kind of like inside of a circle where you like stuff to be a certain way. Like some of the people that like organic food, they want food a certain way. And outside of that, it's just not something they're going to do. They have their own feelings, whether it's how a company operates, or if they don't want to feed the monster, as some people would say. Everybody comes up with their own rationale for it. That it is. I had the sour wench or whatever it's called, the street version of it, and holy hell, best sour I've had, hands down. Yeah, see, I've had the sour wench before, which is actually pretty decent. Now, the sour wench versus what we have here for Urban Artifact, it's not even close. Urban Artifact blows it away, but they mainly focus on wild and sour ales, and so for them, that's like they kill it on that scene. And there's a lot of breweries that I would say don't compete with them as well around here or on some of the main stages. There are some around the country that are some of their bigger, more well-known craft type breweries that can put some good stuff together, but it just depends. It just depends, I guess. And I've had Ballast Point. I like Sculpin. Actually, I like Sculpin better than some of the variants they actually do with it. My favorite Imperial Porter is Victory at Sea, and that's Ballast Point. So I've got different Victory at Seas I've tried. I think I still got one downstairs when I think about it. I would love to find that Oreo Victory at Sea that they actually have, that they've put out in the past. But I've done the peanut butter, and I've done some of their other variants, and they've all been pretty good. Wicked Weed has a bunch of good sours. We don't get the Wicked Weed really here though, which is really surprising because Wicked Weed is part of AB and Bev, right? So you would think because of the more distribution, we would actually see them here, but they just haven't really popped up in our area yet, at least none of the places I've been to. And I am curious to kind of see how those beers do actually taste. So hopefully at some point I'll get to experience Wicked Weed and see what it does. And then we also had Anderson Valley, which is also big out of California. They actually sold, which caught some people off guard as well. They went to a family ownership group, which also owns a winery. So they're in Northern California. They make some fine, good beers. And I think people were kind of surprised when they saw that was the case with them. They're known around the craft beer industry, but it happens. So you've got some of these other breweries that are taking the deals. They are merging and stuff's happening. And we'll probably see more of that here. But we also have almost near 8,000 breweries now operating. So the brewery scene is definitely still growing, even if some of these other ones are merging or being taken over by other companies. I have not heard of Green Cheek. Is that a new brewery or is that the name of the beer? Alan, I'm dying over here. It's 24-3 Texas. 6 seconds left in the third quarter. Freaking Utah, ranked number 11 and getting destroyed. And then let's see now, as we got toward the end of 2019, and this was just something recently I posted out there. We had the 450 North and what I'll just call ABV gate, so to speak. So they had the situation where people started testing their beers and finding out the ABV is not what they were actually posting on the cans. And they released a statement about it. If you saw the video I had done previously, where they kind of said they didn't know the process, which has people scratching their head because just about anybody that brews know when you should take your readings. So it's a little surprising they didn't know to do that before the fruit juice. But it brought up some interesting things around the whole labeling. They didn't label for their last release. They said they're going to label again on the next one, but it was too late in the process for them to do that. And it's kind of like, well, you got rid of labels that had the wrong one, and you made new labels, but you didn't put the new ABV on the new labels because you said you didn't have time to do it, yet you still made the new labels. Anyway, it's interesting because depending on where you're at, and in Indiana, you can only be like 0.3% off on your ABV. So I was kind of curious to watch how this goes into next year. Every time they're putting stuff on their Facebook page and Twitter page, they're kind of being met with, some people will say trolls, but some are like, I think people that are pissed off because they spent all this money on that beer and found out it wasn't what it was supposed to be. So, I like their beers. If they came out with their sours and they said their sour was 3% ABV, I would still like to drink it because I'll drink a Lambic, and that Lambic will be around 3% ABV, and it's a sour ale. So, that whole thing isn't something that would stop me from drinking it because of that lower ABV. But some people, for what they were paying, were definitely pissed off. Let me see here. You have to tell me that. I have a few bad days. I'll wind up dead last. I don't know. I think Robert's trying to lock down the last place spot. Yeah, you take a reading of the word, then of what you're putting in for the ferment, and then again the end result, right? So they had basically done it, took a reading, they added a fruit to it, but didn't take another reading to realize their ABVs and stuff were off. When they should have took a reading after that fruit was added at that point, before it went to the canning stage. Just weird. Just wondering, are we beer geeking? LOL. Well, we're not crazy beer geeking. I mean, I'm just talking about the beer news stories, but maybe to some we're geeking, but I've seen people geek a lot harder than what we're actually doing. I mean, they get down to breaking down some of the ingredients and all that stuff, and we're not going that deep. I mean, we could go that deep, but we're not going to go that deep here. We are beer geeks, so I think it's allowed. LOL. Well, the thing is, I don't mind spending for a good beer, but not when ABV is like 3.5. Yeah, I mean, that's what some people will say, but here's the thing. If you want to get a good beer, there are some good beers that are going to low ABV. So if you went out, if you were in France, or you went to the store, you were looking at the French sours, and for instance, and you looked at a Lambic or you looked at a Gouza, you're going to find some around 3.5, maybe 4% that are really good tasting beers. But the way they have it there, they make them at that low ABV, which is great because they can actually session those beers and they enjoy them. So ABV is not going to dictate how good a beer always is. We're just used to having the higher ABV, I think, on a lot of our stuff. But you can find some really good beers around, 3.5% or so. It all depends what you want to do with it. If you just want to chill and relax and not get hammered, then they definitely work out well. So speaking of which, that leads to the next thing. We've had the rise of the low-cal beers, which have definitely found some nice success and a nice foothold. That we're seeing more and more companies come out with these now. We'll have more next year coming out. People are digging the low-cal beers. They can enjoy the beer. They're not getting the calories. They're not getting the carbs. It's becoming a great opportunity for people to kick back and enjoy those. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. I did enjoy the Daytimer IPA from Lagunitas for having a lower ABV. I mean, they really nailed it on the IPA style with that beer. Would definitely recommend. I think it's like 3 carbs a can, so you can do a 6-pack and you only have 18 carbs, which is pretty cool. And some of the other stuff coming out next year, some of the other bigger brands are dropping stuff too. And then should be interesting to see what happens there. Let me see here. Doesn't feel you now. We won a little bang for the buck, right? Hey, what's happening, Angela? Cheers. Hello, y'all. Happy New Year's. Hopefully you're having a great New Year's Eve. We're going to have a great New Year's Eve here tonight and great New Year's Day tomorrow, Angela. And any input on Pabst? I haven't tried the Pabst Plus. I haven't seen it here to actually try it. So I know about it. We know what I want to try from Pabst is really the hard coffee. That's what I want to try from Pabst. But that's only available like in 3 states. So hopefully when I get there next year, I can get it in Pennsylvania. When I go back to Jersey, I'll jump across to PA and see if I can find it there for sure. I've definitely heard a lot of people liking that one. And Angela's Happy New Year's, y'all. Except for me, it's more of I'll spend 12 for a 4-pack at 4, but it has to be fantastic. Well, you always want to get that if you can, right? So, but if you get like I said, some of the other lower ABV type sours from Europe, yeah, you're going to have some of those with maybe a little bit of lower ABV, but you're going to have a great tasting beer. Hey, Dee, what's going on, my friend? My daughter was able to enter our house. It's Wawa Coffee Cake Night. Nice. So, have you cracked open one of the coffee cake beers yet? I'm interested to see what you think of it, what it kind of tastes like there. And for those watching that don't know Wawa is kind of like a convenience store chain up through the Northeast. They make great sandwiches and all other type of stuff, kind of like an upscale 7-Eleven, I would say. but they actually just have now a beer line that they have other breweries making beer, but they're putting it under their Wawa name. And people in the Northeast and different articles I've read online have been talking about how good these beers actually are. So Didi's up there, and I'm interested to see what he thinks of the Wawa coffee one. Pabst Plus is 6.5 ABV, and it's like 10 for 12. Not bad if it tastes good. Yeah, but you're getting $10 for a 12-pack. You almost kind of think it's going to be a little less than expected. As far as if you put it against craft beer or what they're doing with some of their stuff, it's going to feel like you're going to get a lot of beer, but it's not going to be as great on a taste level. However, versus some of the other macro type stuff, it's kind of in line, I guess. I look at it like this. If you're looking at a macro type beer, you're basically looking at, like, say, a McDonald's. If you're looking at a craft beer, you're looking at some upscale burger joint, some craft burger or something like that. Everybody once in a while goes to McDonald's for the most part, so there's nothing wrong with having that. You know what I mean? If I would think something good to try once in a while, something different, but those are designed to make more for the masses, so they're not going to be maybe pushing the level like craft beer, but that doesn't mean it's a bad beer either. Who doesn't want a Big Mac once in a while? Man, Utah is just being shut down. Terrible. Beer said, Alan, I just can't imagine a beer that low in ABV tasting that good for the money, but if they can pull it off, I would with the calories and hangovers. LOL. Yeah, I can tell you they are beer hound too. I mean, like you said, there's some great lambics and gooses, and that style does not really go that high for the ABV, but it's a nice tasting beer, a nice tasting sour if you like sour ales, that you'll have a good experience a lot of times with it. Big Mac, LOL. Big Macs always sound good. Oh man, Utah's gonna lose this game right now. And then the only other thing that was really kind of the beer news that I saw that kind of stuck out for me from last year was, which I did a video for this too, Cincinnati was ranked number 1 city for beer drinkers. And this was an interesting story. It was done by smartasset.com. And smartasset.com is like a financial site that measures stuff in the financial markets and things along those lines. And so they did a statistical study basically looking at how many breweries per 100,000 people, how many bars per 100,000, the average cost of a beer, all these different factors, and it was strictly a statistical play. And Cincinnati last year was number 4 on the list, but they went to number 1. So it's not saying that Cincinnati is maybe putting out the most tasty beer, but it's saying if you're a beer drinker, your best opportunity to drink beer is here in Cincinnati. And being here in Cincinnati, as a beer drinker, I would definitely agree. So those are stuff that I saw from last year that kind of stuck out for me. I don't know if there was anything that you guys may have that kind of sticks out for you guys in any kind of way, but those were kind of some of the articles that kind of led the way on a lot of different things and a lot of the stories that were out there. Let's see. Just finished the 2 rack of lambs and red wine. Gonna let it settle and taste it in about an hour. She got a 4-pack for $14. I told her to use the damn Ron J $1.99 discount card. Well, I haven't been back to talk to Wawa yet, so I haven't got that established with them for the discount yet. Anyone had bought a lot? No, I have not. And that is one I want to get to, but the people that I know have had it have gotten out in California, so we don't have it here with Bottle Logic. So I would like to check out their beers at some point, but we just have not been able to get their distribution yet. Heard of it though. Rack and Lamb, the red wine is rough. Yeah, I got you in the Rack and Lamb there. I do like a good Rack and Lamb. I like a nice Rack and Lamb with some mint julep jelly. That's some good stuff right there. Mint julep jelly on a Rack and Lamb, or a lamb as you're eating it, just adds a nice little piece to the mix. It's like when I eat pork chops, I like having applesauce now. which adds a nice sweetness to it. But anybody else drinking anything right now? Any other beers, or are you drinking wine like Dee Dee? So I'm probably gonna go down, check on the wife in a bit, pop some champagne open. I'll probably just take the champagne to make mimosas tonight, though. What am I sipping on? Right now, I'm finishing off this Hop Avenger IPA from New Belgium. Again, a company that was purchased, right? So like I said, it's going to happen. And then I'm going to have this celebration from Sierra Nevada, my last celebration now. Being New Year's Eve, it's like a nice one to have. Always like checking that one out when it comes out in December. So you still drinking Two Hearted, Hound? Oh, you got the 40-year Sierra Nevada. Nice. I just read a piece about the 40-year. They had a piece online and they showed the glass they're giving away with it too, I think. And I definitely want to try to see if I can find that and pick that up. You never really go wrong with Sierra Nevada. I mean, they're usually really solid and nice, enjoyable beer. Kind of like a comfortable slipper. Always good. Cheers, John. Happy New Year to you, my friend. Well, almost New Year. It'll be 2 hours. It'll be New Year's here in the East. Are you drinking anything tonight, John? Or are you just relaxing, getting ready for the... Does anybody watch like the New Year's Eve shows anymore, by the way? Is anybody watching that on their TV right now? Mimosa are popping at midnight. Yeah, it's like I got the orange juice and I got the champagne. I'd rather make it a mimosa than drink it as a champagne. So that's what I'm going to do tonight, I think. Oh, I bet it is tasty. Yeah, you got one I want there for sure. But I can't think the last time I watched any of that rocking New Year's Eve type stuff. I don't know if people watch that still as much anymore. I'm sure some people do, otherwise they wouldn't keep making a show, but... But I do like the Hop Avenger. 707, no TV, all YouTube. So anybody got any big plans for New Year's Day tomorrow? Anything? Anybody like family get together, making any meals? Anything else happening? Kind of just kick back, enjoy the day off before we start 2020 back in work on Thursday. No midnight shows, as they're usually boring. Yeah, they haven't been the same for a long time. I remember back in the day, like in the 90s, watching like the MTV specials or some of the specials like on, I guess, was Fox was out then. Yeah, so Fox or NBC or ABC or one of them. So, Nurse Hangover. Good planning ahead. Good way to do that for sure. Yeah, I had that one company one time send me that drink aid for hangovers, and I took it like before and then after I drank a good amount. It seemed to be okay, but then again, I never get hangovers really. So I've been fortunate in that regard. No, I haven't got a hangover in a long time. Last time I got a hangover was when it was one of my nights out for a birthday, and we were doing Jameson shots, because Jameson shots were like, it was some crazy deal at one of the bars. We had like $1.99 for a shot of Jameson. So yeah, that with the other stuff we were drinking, and yeah, it was a rough morning. Got my menudo ready. Ooh, lobsters and scallops tomorrow. Nice. Yeah, we had shrimp with this before the steaks tonight, which were good. Had some nice big ribeyes. I actually got some leftovers. Might go snack on some more here in a bit. I haven't had lobster in a while. I do like scallops, but I like calamari more than either of those. I love eating some good calamari. I can't even think of the last time I was even out on New Year's Eve. We kind of talk about it every year, and it's like by the time it comes around, it's like, I don't really feel like going out. I think I'm just gonna take a nap and sleep or something. Any oysters? Are you asking if I got oysters or Dee Dee? Because Dee Dee's got the seafood going, but I didn't get any oysters. My wife would have loved if we got some oysters. She's a big oyster fan. Speaking of oysters, if you ever get a chance, check out, and I've seen it still in some place, but Great Lakes, their 30th anniversary ale, they use oysters. A very good oyster stout. And then Flying Dog has the Pearl Necklace, which is also an oyster beer, which is also pretty good. Making me hungry, LOL. Ribeyes are the best cut, tomahawks. Yeah, I mean, I'm more usually of a New York strip kind of guy, but ribeyes are always so good because they're like the fattiest one to get for the cut, so that keeps all that flavor in there nicely. So yeah, the ribeyes, they get popular because of that. But I always love a good steak. Forgot about oysters. Love them fresh and raw. Yeah. We got a couple spots around here that have a couple oyster bars they do at different times. In fact, one of the places we went to a couple years ago, they had an oyster bar there, which was pretty good. Oh, bacon wrapped snails. I haven't had bacon wrapped snails. I've had other stuff bacon wrapped. I also like mussels too. I think mussels are really good, which I kind of like. Oysters, but not maybe as slimy, I guess you can say. I do like stuffed bacon wrapped jalapenos. The other night we went to, and if you haven't gone there yet, I fell out of favor kind of with BW3. I didn't think they were really that good anymore, and their wings were kind of so-so. But we went there the other night, and they actually have a new menu and a new setup. I will tell you, if you go there and you get the Nashville hot chicken sandwich, that is really good. They did a real good job with that one. I was actually surprised how good that was. Bacon stout. I've had bacon and stouts before. Yeah, we've had some, like the beer fest that we'll do here in March. With it being winter, a lot of times that can show up, but people have brewed with bacon and stouts. I've had some that was too much bacon even. Haven't had those since Germany. I want to go to Germany at some point. Obviously, being a beer drinker is definitely on the bucket list. Germany and Belgium. But I also want to go to Ireland and Scotland too, and the UK. So anybody make any New Year's resolutions for tonight? Do you usually make New Year's resolutions? Is that something you kind of get into? I want to go to Acton, California. What's in Acton, California? I think about that bacon now. It's like I almost want like a BLT now to eat. BLT would be tasty right now. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to check out the celebration when they bring it out, I would say definitely check it out. And I've had this before, but I would say check it out and try to drink it when it first comes out if you can. It's that fresh hop IPA. And it's still good if it's not drinking right then, but you get that nice freshness in the taste. New Year resolution, make more money. Acting con is BFE. Yeah, my wife asked about resolutions, and I'm like, I don't really got anything. I mean, at a certain point, it's like Santa Claus. You're like, yeah, no, I don't really believe in that now. But making more money, that's always a goal every year, make more money. I said, maybe for the YouTube channel, the goal is to get monetized at a point here. So, re-monetized. I was monetized before they changed the rules. I like to take the channel to a new level at some point. I don't know to what level, but definitely be focusing on putting some more stuff into the channel for next year. Need to go out and get some more on-site videos, some of the breweries and some of the interviews and stuff like that. So, should be a good 2020 with the channel. Semi-retired. That'll be nice. Maybe not be single anymore. Well, there you go. There's a resolution or a goal. I don't know. He's semi-retires, and it's kind of like you'd have time for all your hobbies. And so I just wonder if you would get like I know people who have retired or their parents are retired. It seems like they get bored when they retire too early. Do you know it's Beer Drink? Yes, I actually have. I've talked to him before on a couple other streams, and he's actually just north of me up in Ohio. What is that? I think he's like close to Dayton, Ohio, or just up that way in Ohio, past Dayton, maybe between Dayton and Cleveland. But yeah, he's a cool guy. He's pretty funny on some of the stuff he does. Yeah, the celebration is a good one. It's just solid. It's like one of those things. Like I said, it's like an old sock with some of the beers from Sierra Nevada, or old shoe, I should say. Maybe old sock and an old shoe. It's just comfortable. You just know what to expect. It's always done well, and he always delivers. So. He's in Georgia? Why did I think he was in Ohio? Shoot, he is outside Atlanta, isn't he? I was thinking Ohio for some reason. Maybe because the stream I was on was with a couple Ohio guys that we had done it. I don't know why Ohio jumped in my head. But he did mention Atlanta before, now that you say that. I've only talked to him like a couple times on a few things. I'll be a pro golfer with no sponsors. That's semi-retire, LOL, yeah. You gonna be golfer? You can actually be one of those guys that go into the lakes to get golf balls. I don't know if you've ever seen them before. Some of those guys make some serious money. They go in there and get golf balls that people put in the lakes, and they resell them. Like they get Pro V1s and all kinds of golf balls. But I saw one of the shows they were doing it down in Florida. I'm like, I would not go to a lake in Florida with the alligators that get on some of the golf courses there. I think he does a great job. Your videos are more informative, but his are more entertainment. Yeah, he does more, I think, to have fun with his videos and stuff. When he does the beer type thing, he does it more. I would say he's more like in a humorous way on how he does it for the entertainment type value of it. So, which is cool too, because it's all different ways you can express different things on here for how you're actually going through the beers. So, yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's like you like watching people for their own different takes on stuff. You don't want everybody doing it the same way for sure. Yeah, I haven't been down to Atlanta in a long time. I try to think of their beers, what they had there. I mean, they only have like Terrapin and they have Sweetwater, but I'm trying to think of any other ones that really stand out around there. Man, Utah was getting whooped, 31-10, 8 minutes in the fourth quarter. Texas got the ball back. Well, I'll be 4-1 on my bowl picks today. Let's see, but it's like 10:21 now, so I'm going to actually go check on the wife here before New Year's Eve in an hour and a half. See if we're doing anything, start popping maybe mimosas if we are. But I hope everybody has a great New Year, and hopefully you guys have a blast tonight. Like Beerhound, he's 3 hours behind me, so he still has a way to go. The guy called Rajay is my favorite beer reviewer. He's still, oh, thanks, man. He stole me from Greg's beer reviews, LOL. I still watch Greg from time to time as well. Greg is like an OG, man. So Greg, when I first started watching, like Greg and Joe D were the two guys I used to watch when I first decided to launch the channel. But they just had fun, and Joe doesn't get real deep into this stuff like Greg does, but Joe's like John was saying about Shorty, he's kind of more of an entertainment type thing, how he kind of puts it all around it, but you feel like with Joe, you're learning as he's learning on stuff too. So, great guy. If you ever want to check out a good channel, check out Joe D. He's actually doing New Year's streams tonight on his channel. But Greg does a good job. So I always hear him say, let's see what's in the fridge. So, but, I can't believe I will have this channel in March. It'll be 5 years, which I would have never thought when I first did it I'd be doing like for 5 years having a YouTube channel. But it's been a fun ride. I've seen people come and go. Some of the people that used to do it, that don't do it anymore, new people that have come in, people that have come in, stopped, left, came back. The main thing is you got to make it fun when you're doing it, though. I think some people can get burned out rather easily, but you make it fun and you try to keep it fresh and new as much as you can. I do that at a course in a wetsuit. I'd be scared I'd turn into Swamp Thing. There's a lot of chemical from the grass. Yeah, they put on the suit and they go down there. They come up with a bunch of golf balls and they polish it off. They even did a story on Brian Gumbel, Real Sports, a few years ago, and a guy who made all this money off of doing it and everything, and that was just his job now. He was going to get golf balls and reselling them. Oh, well, thanks, Beer Hunt. I appreciate it. That's my goal, to try to keep it that way. Beer reviews are spot and easy to understand. I try to do it that way and hopefully add a little bit of a fun way so people can enjoy it and are entertaining. So definitely appreciate that. And Matt from Massive Beer Reviews. Matt does a great job. Last year, Matt, he's up in New Jersey now. He had a beer palooza at his house. He actually invited me to get there. I couldn't get up there at the time, but he was there. And Kyle from No Hype Beer Reviews, Nerd Sense, the Beer Patrol, all the guys got together. They tasted a bunch of different beers. It was like over a 2-day type thing because he has like a farm, so they stayed out there. And then they had a blast. So if he does it again this upcoming year, I'm going to try to get up there so I can meet him in person and do some stuff there too. So it's a great community of the people here. But Joe, the Beer Patrol is a great channel to watch there. Nerd Sense, those guys are really good. You got 21090 Brewing down there in Baltimore. Those guys do a good job. Beer Man, who was here a little bit ago, Beer Man out there in Oregon, great job on the channel he does. He makes it fun, entertaining. He does different games and stuff too. So yeah, the whole fun time you have doing these is great, and the people you meet are awesome. Yeah, he is. He did a stream earlier today. I didn't get a chance to chime in. I was doing some other stuff, but I was listening, and he was kind of breaking down some things on his channel, kind of just like an open live stream. And one of the other guys was on there asking about some of the games, because he also plays games like I do as well at times. So get on a game and things like that. But yeah, well versed in everything. Definitely knows his shit for sure. And yeah, he does real good. He does like the mystery beers and stuff there too that people send him and everything like that. And yeah, he was another one. He was early on. He was one of the other ones too. I probably started with Joe and Greg, but then I found Matt as well. And I was watching his videos. A couple of the guys out of Canada early on I was watching. Um, and they over in the UK, like Craig on Kent Beer Reviews, connected with him. Harry on Blue Nose Reviews. Some of the other guys over there, Peter from the Coolest Drinker, they were doing the different stuff there. Dean from Dean's Beer Reviews, he was one I really watched earlier on too, because he had a special sense of enjoyment when he did the reviews, and he was really good on stuff that he does. So just watch all these different channels. You see all those people doing different beers, and it's funny when you have a beer, someone else has it. Sometimes they'll pick out something you may not picked out, or they'll say something like, you know what, it did have that there, and I can't believe I didn't, say that as well. So it's always good. All right, Hound, you have a great new year. I'm out. Happy New Year, everyone. Cheers. Thank you, Rod. See you next year as well. And yeah, thank you, brother. Follow me on Twitter. Yeah, Twitter, I put not just the videos, but I put a lot of blog posts and beer things there too. So actually, Twitter, you probably get more stuff that I'm doing, because I have a blog that I'll put that over. There's different stuff that I pull from. I have like a beer magazine, so to speak, online. So I'll put stuff and I find interesting articles on the Twitter. So Twitter probably gives you the most access to a lot of stuff I'm sharing. Either that or the Facebook page, but either are pretty good. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this down. It's just about 10:30 here in the East, and go check on the missus. And hopefully you guys have a safe and great New Year's Eve tonight. And definitely look forward to talking to you in the next one. The next few videos, there may be some beer reviews, but I'm going to be doing some other stuff. So I'm going to do like my, I was waiting for the new year. So I'm going to pull my stuff and tell you the top 10 beers that I've ranked on my personal scale for 2019. And I'll tell you the least 10 beers I also ranked in 2019. Some of the other things, predictions for 2020. So those would be some of the videos that'll be upcoming here in the next week or so. Hopefully you guys enjoy those as well. But I'm going to go ahead and get signed off so I can go here and do what else we need to do, and look forward to catching you guys soon. Cheers to y'all. Cheers, John. Cheers, Dee Dee. And again, Happy New Year. And I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers, everybody.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better come.